We're live. Hello. Hello, YouTube. I'd say hello, Facebook, but for whatever reason, the access to Facebook was not in the StreamYard. So YouTube is the only place this is streaming right now. And then if you're watching it through the Facebook link, it's all good, but whatever. I am Kaleb Koho. And if you were tuned into Movie Melee this weekend, you had a lot of information and a lot of things happen right in your face, right in a row. So to break it down, I'm not here alone. I have Cody Newberry, Dylan Van Thine, and Payson Johnson here with me to talk about what happened over the weekend and what's coming next. So if you tuned in this weekend to Movie Melee, if you didn't, a lot of spoilers about to happen right now. So I'm going to give you like 10 seconds. If you're watching this right now, dip. Go watch the matches, come back. Okay. But that was not 10 seconds, but, a little break. What happened this weekend was the belts were on the line. Will Cohen went in for his first defense, and instead of challenging Jeremy Adams like he thought, Cameron Redshaw cashed in the last one standing, beat him, held the belt, and then played Jeremy right after, losing it to Jeremy. So the title changed hands like immediately twice. So Jeremy Adams is your current Movie Melee singles champion. Cody Newberry.
Is Redshaw now the holder of the shortest turnaround, or have you determined?
I have not done the second-by-second time in the video yet to figure it out, but
I believe so, because they were like literally back to back. There wasn't a different match separating them.
What's the time? What's the record?
Right now, it's Olivas with 39 minutes.
Oh.
So it's about how long.
No, Olivas will still be Olivas because that match I edited was like 52.
Okay, so Redshaw
would have to have lost at around 40-minute mark.
Yeah, so it's about 52 minutes then for Redshaw.
So Koho is still problematic to Joseph.
Sorry, Joseph. And then if you watched the team's titles, Judgment City Ginyu Force 3, the day of Judgment came around. We have the belt on the line, and Judgment City was the one who got sentenced to lose the belt. Ginyu Force won the third match. Ginyu Force is the champion again, the first ever 3-time teams champion, and we have one of them on call right now with Payson Johnson. But if you watch that video, you saw about 12 to 15 minutes of footage with Cody at the top talking about what's coming next. But we'll get to that in a second. First, I want to talk about what happened over the weekend. Starting with, we have one of the champions on the call for like a reason. Payson, you got the belt back. It was a pretty exciting weekend. I believe you were present for every match, whether you were on screen or backstage. Thoughts on the weekend as a whole?
Yeah, I'd be lying if I said it wasn't a pretty emotional and pretty exciting weekend. I'm willing to say that both of Ginyu Force's last matches with Judgment City have been my favorite teams matches genuinely ever, and we lost one of those. I think it's just an exciting match. I think both those matches have been excellent, but yeah, me and David are honored to hold those belts again. It feels great to set history and becoming the first 3-time champion. And if I were to look at this from an unbiased perspective, I think it's awesome that we went into the weekend with 2 sets of champions, and we came out of the weekend with new champions in both divisions. I think that's just an exciting way to look at it.
It's true. It's a very exciting way to look at it. The man who does more than anyone probably realizes for the show, the former singles champion, Vicious Dylan Van Thine, is here. Dylan, you hosted those matches with me because you literally don't sleep. You write and then you host, and then when people can't host, you host those as well. Thoughts on the weekend as a whole?
Yeah, it was very exciting. Yeah, I think what Payson said is very true with like the belts changing hands. I think that's been like kind of the story of this whole season. It seems like everyone's kind of playing hot potato with all the belts. We got a new, obviously there was no singles champion going into the season. Then Will took it. Will dropped it to Redshaw. Redshaw dropped it to Jeremy. It's interesting to see if Jeremy will break that cycle going forward by defending it in his next match. But yeah, I mean, Ginyu Force versus Judgment City, I think, was definitely the match of the weekend. Like, I think that was I think I said it in the match. I think that's my favorite title match of the year so far. It's either that or the Judgment City versus Kumite match, because it was so just back and forth, and like round 5 specifically was like so intense, just the way they were both teams were able to maneuver through their 4-pointers, take their time, and then get both of them right. Yeah, it was really crazy stuff. And yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing who Guinea Force plays next. I think it'll be a good one.
For sure. I think we've had a very strong emphasis on teams in the first half of the year with that teams tournament, with some rookies being introduced, with Judgment playing defending the title twice in the first half of the year. I think teams has really been a dominant factor, and to have the cap off to the second act be a phenomenal teams match, I'm excited about that. Cody, we had a very busy day of Judgment filming. Not only did we film 2 singles title matches like immediately, and a teams title match, but me and you were filming something special, like pre-title match, setting up the summer. What are your thoughts?
I don't get to talk about the weekend.
I was going to ask you about the weekend.
You the other two.
Exactly.
So a few things. I will cover a lot in this basic things. One, yes, I wanted Payson and Dylan on this call because it's normally me and Koho. Dylan does more for this. Dylan and Payson, but I would say Dylan. No offense to Payson on this. Dylan does so much for this league. He gets zero credit. Zero. He's my favorite host. Even when he screws up on call, he's still my favorite host. He makes editing a dream, honestly. But it was a great weekend overall. People don't realize how fast those teams matches the last 2 weeks happened for us behind the scenes, and me having to like edit the night that it finished. And they're hour-long matches, so they're pretty lengthy. And when they're screw up, that team's title match was the closest to an Andrew Barr, Caleb Boatman match that we've had since. Where if you would have told me Ginyu and Judgment City score 7 and 8 points in round 1,
yeah,
and not one of them has 15 and the other had an off day with 8, that could have easily swung multiple directions. They're both playing so evenly. Then they get round 2. 2 categories, sure. They're not great. Like, I would say actors and actresses. When I saw that come up for Payson and David, I said, oh, well, good. They better get a good category in return. No, they don't do as well as I thought they would normally do. Horror, Jeremy's kind of sneaky good at horror. Like, he's not a bad, especially when it goes genres. They struggle, let up steals, lead. They missed their first deep cut, Judgment City, then Payson and David to miss theirs in reverse. Then we had the snafu in round 4 where the final answer, non-final answer stuff happens. Gives them a brand new question to tie it going into round 5 when they were going to be down 2 going into 5. There's a miss on a quantum physics. We battled with that. There's not really, we need the specific. And then two paramedic nurse back-to-back questions in the medical field that both of these guys had to know from 2 different films, and they were able to hit it. It was an insane match. I really enjoyed it. Overall, I thought that match was absolutely just incredible. And yeah, that the brainchild of me, this tournament now is just going to shake up this league even more than we already have. So yeah, if you want to start.
Yeah, and sorry, just one thing I wanted to bring up too, because I don't think we highlighted it enough. There was with the singles title matches. We saw Cameron Redshaw, who's been playing in the game for a very long time, since I believe the 2020 season. I believe he made his debut. Returned this season literally to a title match. This was his first match back, and he was able to achieve what he unfortunately came up short against Andrew Barr, and he came up short against Jake Meltzer for his 2 previous title matches, and he was finally able to get it done against Will to become first-time champion, to get his first belt in Multiplex. It was a big moment, so that was definitely something I wanted to highlight. And also, Jeremy Adams hadn't been, I don't know exactly how many years it's been since he last held that singles title, but
6 years. 5-6 years.
5, yeah. He's been working to try to get it back. Last year he had a couple different opportunities, unfortunately just came up short, and he was able to get it off of the camera. So those were 2.
It was also,
yeah.
I don't have the statistics on it because I don't know it. But the accuracy in round 4 is always the dump of the match. Like, if you have a good round going into that, you're about to just torpedo it. To give recent releases to Jeremy, which I think a lot of us in that scenario give us that same thought process. He just mopped that round, which made the match completely imbalanced. Where it could have been so close, it was over. And
really,
go ahead.
Even before that, like the deep, I think one of the things that was like the changing of the tide there was in the deep cut round, Cosmopolis. He sounded like he had no confidence in his answer, horror and despair whatsoever. And that, I believe, I could be mistaken here, but if I remember correctly, I believe that gave him the 1 point lead going into the round 4, so he was able to give Redshaw his category first. Like, that was a crazy moment from there on out, because there was a certain point in round 2 where I thought he was done, and he came back.
The score did not give it justice to the good. It was good up to that point, but it was just that was the inverse when they slept. I think there was a similar match. I think Wild Stallions were featured in it when they were given a category, and they just it was Ginyu. It was Ginyu versus Stallions. No offense, sorry, you got the belt. You're happy.
Oh, you're fine. It's fine.
Gave them comedy, right?
Yeah.
It was comedy, and they just ran, and you're just like, oh crap. So if you, not that you don't know your opponent, but if they changed over time, or if it falls in wheelhouses, that it could be game over fast.
If I can just say one thing, giving Jeremy Adams recent releases, much smarter decision in hindsight than giving Wild Stallions comedy. Let's call a spade there. That was very dumb of me and David.
Yeah, we all thought that live and when it was happening. So
the other thing to highlight is Jeremy Adams, as brief as it was before Judgment City did lose the title, was the first person ever to be double belted twice in Movie Melee. To hold the singles title and the team's title at the same time, and to do it with 2 different teams on each different time is pretty cool. So it's something.
I hate that. I would like you going into a thing, not in the weekend. But whatever. You hold that record for a go. But Brainchild. Well, if you play on the same weekend and you lose on that same weekend, did you you held it for 12 minutes? I don't know. It's weird. It's weird for me to say.
There's a full day.
If we shot the teams, so here's my thing. Going into the weekend, if we shot the teams match way in advance, and then the singles match happened, he's not double belted. He lost it, but we would claim he's double belted.
Behind the scenes, though, he won singles first, then lost teams after. Yeah. So it happened.
I understand. I still think that's weird. Anyway, brainchild of mine.
If you tuned in to Judgment City versus Ginyu Force 3, it did not start with your typical Movie Melee intro. In fact, it started with weird static and secret information being put on the screen. You got a feed directly into Cody Newberry's StreamYard where he broke down what the Summer Series tournament is this year. And if you didn't see it, we're going to tell you right now, once again, what it is. This act is called Choose Your Destiny for a reason. Act 3, Choose Your Destiny, is the first time ever in Movie Melee, singles, teams, anything, in Multiplex history, really, even in the online trivia space, where the individuals competing in the tournament chose their matchups in their seeded order, in their quote unquote seeds. They were ranked. They had a draft position, and from that draft position, they chose who they wanted to play. They called their shot, and now you're going to see how that goes as round 1 will kick off this weekend. Cody, explain to me the idea. Explain to us some thoughts on the tournament.
So this is a little peek behind baseball. We've already shot some of this going into it. And I can speak for Melee in general. The way of old tournaments most likely will never happen again. I just want that on the record moving forward. It's just a better scenario. It just plays better. So I feel like we've done – how long have we done this now? How long have I been here?
We are on year 7.
God, I need to retire. But anyways, gosh, I have a kid that's 6. Let's put that. That's 9. My kid is 6. I'm gonna be 7 this year. So So my thing was, I hate traditional. After 7 years of just doing summer series tournament, the 1 seed faces the 32, or even if we did 16, 1 faces 16. Melee is so top heavy for so long. It just has been. Great players have been at the top for a really long time, and that's a credit to them. It's 100% a credit to them. They're strong players. They know their stuff. They're balanced in everywhere they can be. Some luck, of course. But we ask a question at the end of every match. It's the dumbest question we ask at the end of every match, and that's no offense to the people asking it. But who do you want to play next? You're never playing that person. Unless you match up record-wise, you will never see that person on the set. Like, I've seen people, like, have a good record and be like, I want Mike Hanley. Well, you're going to have to lose 7 matches before you can play Mike Hanley. It's just not happening. Like, I want – yeah, or, like, I'll take this person on. Well, you're going to have to win 14 to even get close to that person. So my thought process is put people in a room. Based on seeding, based on not seeding, if I wanted to pick 16 people from my roster, put them all in a green room, basically, tell them, hey, you're invited to this. If you can show up, mathematically come in, the top seed is going to be able to draft from this list of people. You don't know anything ahead of time. You don't know any of the players. You know nothing about it. But these are the 16 that I'm going to show you, and you get to pick one of them. One, I think it angers the person getting picked. Because if I'm the 1 seed and I'm drafting someone, you feel like you can beat me. So now I want to upset you even more than being the 32. Because when you get a 32 attached to your name or a 16 – against a 1, you automatically know you're probably going to lose that match. That's the 1 versus 16. Everybody's like, oh, I'll give it a shot. But when you get a different perspective of somebody calling you out and saying, I would like to play them, and these are my reasons, this, and this. Bitch, let's play. Let's see what happens. It's the difference of opinion. And how we drafted, the draft that happened was a showrunner's dream. It could have literally went down the line and been whatever. Now, no one knew where everybody was ranked. No one knew who was drafting next. If you followed us long enough, you have an idea. You have an idea. We've switched our rankings over this past year. But you have an idea. But when, like, I just peek behind it. Number 1 was Igor. In years past, Igor would not have been number 1. Igor does not get that right. We did win percentage. We switched it because me and Koho and Nick and Tim all kind of talk to each other. We don't want to have our hands in deciding where somebody goes. Just let the numbers speak for themselves. Our hands are clean. So Igor drafts first. Igor picks a person. He gives a very balanced answer. He wants to play Ryan Payne. They both like fandom. They're both heavily in fandom. I think this is my great shot. Mathematically, makes sense. The very next pick is where chaos started, and it was beautiful. We plugged back in a computer that was dormant for 2 years, the greatest trios player that a guy could get teamed up with in their entire life, Joseph Olivas. The dust got cleared off, the computer lit up, and he said, I lost last time I played here to David Nishimoto. Now, if David Nishimoto popped up on the screen for everybody, he'd be your last pick probably in that group, or one of your last people that you would pick. He is a singles champion. He is a teams 3-time now teams champion. That computer said, fuck it. I want him. That's when me and Koho looked at each other backstage and said, we got something. Whatever this is, we've got something. Because the one area that you can't judge or can't predict is players and their motivations, why things happen. And that's why this tournament, and this is why I think it works in future. I don't think it's as gimmicky as some situations could be. Where, this just is recycled. We did the other thing for 6 years. The other thing was ran to the ground. even over in like fandom and stuff, like Tim won like 3 of those damn things or went to the finals in 3 of the things. Like Boatman, every time he played, I had to convince him one year to sit the hell out because it was just going to be the inevitable, him winning again. This, you pick, you can change seedings. One upset changes the entire next draft. So, and it was such a good idea, I forgot about it. Because Koho had to remind me. I said, what the hell are we doing for the singles tournament? He goes, you told me this. I was like, oh, you're right. We're drafting. So, yeah. If you watch that first video, it's probably one of the best things. And as us sitting right here, we are over the moon with this idea.
Speaking as from just throwing this out there, all we have shot for this so far is just round 1. So far, the results have been really fantastic with the matches. So yeah, I'm very excited about this being the format for the tournament going for the 4th. It's going to be pretty awesome.
Cody already told you the first 2 matchups on the board. We'll quickly kind of recap what you saw in that video if you didn't see it.
Oh yeah.
In this tournament, number 1, Igor Costa came in and he decided he wanted to play number 14, Ryan Payne. Then, like Cody said, number 2, Joseph Olivas, calling in a rematch of the last time he played, number 5, David Ishimoto. So we're getting Olivas versus David 2 in the first round of that tournament. Number 3 was Payson Johnson. And Payson came in, and he made an interesting call. He came in, and he called out number 4, Amaru Moses. And he's here, and he was on the video and gave you a little thing. Payson, why Amaru?
It's been said before, it's hard to juggle fandom and melee at once. Amaru is one of the best in terms of fandom. And I just thought, you know what? I wanted to take who I think I could beat the easiest, and I called out Amaru. I was wearing a very nice suit that night. Just want to point that out. And yeah. It
was a pretty nice suit.
Yeah, thank you.
So yeah, if you haven't watched
Which is logical. If we're talking about a picking, makes perfect sense. Why would I've said this for years? We've done this for 7 melee. If you're doing melee, if you're good in melee, there's only 3 players, maybe off the top of my head, and that's even a stretch. I think Meltzer was the only one to ever do what he was able to do. I don't know with that run that he had, but to be consistently good in both areas that demand so much from both sides, it's the hardest. So Payson goes, I'm strictly melee. I play fandom for fun. You play fandom because you want belts. We're in the inverse. Let's play. I think that's how somebody should draft. If you want my honest opinion, that makes perfect sense.
True. So then, right down the line after that, because within the first 6 matchups, all 5 of the top 5 contenders were off the board. We dropped to number 6. The former singles champion Will Cohen in the tournament decided to take on number 10, Tony Durso. He called out his faction mate in Fun DMC, Tony the Terminator Durso. Pretty exciting matchup. And then to add more to it.
Oh no, we need to dissect.
No, you're not gonna brush over this because Will and me have a rivalry that is storied. Is a beautiful, beautiful rivalry. He likes to piss me off. He said something in that thing that I tried to hold back, but he's like, I'm still surprising people after all this, surprising people. This is a terrible pick. If this is a blog post, we've done this for a long time. Fun DMC does not like playing each other. They've said that before. Oh, please don't give me another faction mate. Please don't give me a faction mate. He just guaranteed one of them don't make it to the second round, which is just weird. And then if you created a blog post of players that deserve belts, that are good enough to earn belts but haven't earned belts, Tony Durso is in that top 10. Tony Durso has gotten so close and has the worst luck imaginable while playing. Tony is a fantastic. I just think you say what you want about Will. He is a champion of this league. He has won the belt. He has held that title where most people can't say it. But to put yourself in such a hard shoes against Tony in the first round, that's a must-watch match in round 1. That's an insanity.
And to think about Tony, who in reality, that platinum ticket seemed like it was promised to him to go get that belt, and he couldn't close it. And now he's in this at pissed
Him
off.
and Shane both.
Why would you pick Will? Why would Will pick him?
We all thought when that tournament was decided, when platinum ticket was picked, all 12 people, we said Tony and Chen are meeting each other in whoever the third one wants to join them. But those two are meeting in the finals. That's what we all assumed. We were wrong. I also golden ticket next year with this format. That changes everything. That's insane.
We're gonna drop that seed now. Think about that.
That's crazy.
Think about that, guys. But yeah, crazy. And then you talked about it. Fun DMC hates playing each other. Well, then the number 7, Robert Kastner, decides to spin a wheel, and it lands on number 13, which is honestly ironic that this guy was number 13. John Marr is just an absolute chaotic human being. Those guys playing in the first round, also nuts.
Yeah, and I think it's aired, right? Because
John versus Ego.
Oh my God, Kaiser's team.
Oh,
Kaiser, not
Realms.
Kaiser's team. Robert and Antonio played Formula this season, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And they got French Horror, which was John gave it to Formula. Formula built it and made it a strength. Gave it to Robert, cost Robert out of that title situation, knocked him out because they gave it to him and they couldn't, and gave steals up to Mark because Mark was somehow efficient in French Horror, whatever the case may be. And then spins a wheel, which I like the idea because the idea makes perfect sense. Because I don't want to piss anybody off.
Yeah, you cannot be pissed at Robert.
You can't be pissed because I picked you. I'm just going to make this random. I'm going to pick a wheel, so you can't be mad at me when I lose. Which Robert, reigning Multiplex Player of the Year, makes perfect sense. I'm totally fine with that. But then he gets John, which John is the one that gave the strength that took him out. I think it's just a weird scenario. It was beautiful.
Snake eating its own tail. It's just an incredible, just cyclical situation that Kastner is in. Payson.
If I can comment on this, when I heard Will had challenged Tony, which, like, full respect to like Will, like Tony, like, has maybe the scariest strength out of any player in this league of post 2000 Amir Khan films. Like, here's just like a bunch of 3-hour Indian movies. Have fun studying them. When I had heard that
good luck with the data questions too.
Yeah.
Most can't even pronounce them.
Yeah,
true. When I heard that, and when I heard Robert had spun a wheel, everyone on call can confirm. I was in a fairly high-end movie theater waiting for my movie to start, and I may have said an exploitative phrase that I will not repeat on Multiplex call that might have shocked everyone there, but they can all confirm. I was very surprised.
True.
Yeah,
but yeah, so those guys play, and then the only two people who weren't able to show up were number 8 Cameron Holtzman and number 9 Matthew Chen, so they automatically find themselves playing each other in the first round, another faction on faction from the Rogue Nation, and it's a rematch from a couple years ago. So to see these two play again when Matthew's gotten much better than the last time they played, I'm pretty curious to see how that one goes.
Just one on the record. Not because they didn't make it is why they had to play each other. If you watch the video directly, we sent them the link, we talked to them, but the thing was it had to move down the order. If you could not attend the event, it just moved down the order to the draft, so they could have still played different players. It just wasn't because they were both showed up together. I just wanted that to correct.
It just ended up working out that way.
Yeah, it's because there's a scenario that they could have obviously avoided, and if both of them would have, if one of them would have made it, those matchups wouldn't have happened.
Absolutely. So then after that rematch, the number 11 former team's champion Matt Cuellar comes in and lives up to his nickname of Casual Chaos and just picks number 15, his teammate Nazario Montenegro, because he just wants to play Nazario. And I think that is going to be a chaotic round 1 match from Matt, who is a more seasoned veteran player in the league, kind of like he says, sort of taking it a bit more easy, and Nazario, who is on that list of people who is like, they have the ability and the knowledge to have been a champion at some point in this league. It's just about, does he have the dedication or the care? He's dangerous, but like having these two chaotic teammates playing each other, wild. One of them going home in the first round.
Yeah, there's definitely one where when it was announced, I definitely let out just because I knew I had to host it. So yeah, there should definitely be a chaotic, funny, entertaining match. Yeah, looking forward to that one.
No spoilers. Me and Dylan were hosting the match between Nazario and Matt. Moment of the year contender in that match. So watch that match.
That's true.
And that left the last person to make a pick. And that was number 12, Jacoby Bancroft, who picked myself, the number 16. So that is probably the best case scenario for me to at least be happy in the match. But I think all those round one matchups are going to be super entertaining. I'm excited for how everything's going to go. And to be clear, they will redraft. It continues every round. They will redraft from the remaining players in that draft order until we are down to just 2 remaining. So we'll see how this goes. We'll come back and reveal the round 2 draft, and then after that, you'll find out how you find out. But it's insane.
Yeah, round 2 will be attached to another video. Probably the last video of round 1, if I had to guess. Maybe sooner. But we want all the matches to be able to play. No, it'd probably be after. It probably just will drop on the channel, if we're being honest. I don't know where we'll be attaching it. But after round 2, there will be no draft special anymore. The kind of determinations will happen in post-match. So if you want to know, like, say, if the higher ranked person is still in the game in round 2 and they win, they'll get an option of players remaining in the thing. They'll make like a chart of 1 through whatever with the host kind of guiding them. And then we will take that information and be able to match them with that person that they would have wanted. Because if I pull everybody back on call, there's 2 picks that happen, and that's just pointless to a lot of people. And I think there's a lot of power also if you find yourself in this, because with this he read off numbers. With the numbers and stuff not being this is a scenario that works where you can pick 16 people that may not fit perfectly inside a top 16, put them in a room and let chaos happen as it is. It doesn't have to follow traditional 1 through 16 or 5 through 20. It could do what we can move the people and like have pieces of plans almost enter into you win this, now you're into the pool. That's all that matters. You get into the pool, that's all you have to do, and then you have to win. But yeah, I think this format gives us way more movement on rankings a little bit than we usually have to, because when we say it's a 16 seed tournament, 16 seed, we have to stick to the 16. Now we have room to move. So
true. So that's the singles half. At Mayhem at the Multiplex 7, Jeremy Adams will be defending from the winner of the Summer Series Call-Out Tournament. So it's going to be exciting to see how that goes. Mayhem at the Multiplex 7. Force Awakens.
WrestleMania! We're getting close!
First Sergeant Slaughter, I want to say?
He makes they make more money than us, and we've been here for 7 years.
Jason's sitting here being like, bring back Sports Battlefield. I'll use wrestling. You're probably asking me, Koho, what's happening with teams over the summer? What's the next piece? I'm going to tell you that in a second. But first, we're making a bit of a change. We're making a small change. And it's going to be implemented at Mayhem at the Multiplex 7. Cody's going to tell you all about it.
Yeah, this will be my last thing because I have other commitments tonight, and I'm going to let these beautiful men take it over from there. Quote from Koho calling Dylan beautiful on a call recently. Slight sexual harassment on mail, as he described it.
I would have been arrested by this.
That's fair. I want everybody. Koho did a really good thing. Koho had to bend the knee and accept something this past week, and I'm proud of him. If this was 2019, we'd still be arguing probably about this today. Koho and me have hated 2 rounds in our title match format for a really long time. Koho's hated the deep cut round. I've hated pick your poison.
Revenge of the Wheel.
Huh?
Revenge of the Wheel.
Not pick your poison. No, that's wrong. Revenge of the Wheel. I feel like it's just a dump. We can just skip the round and just move on most of the time. You have a scenario sometimes like Jeremy where he runs the table and he has it. But even in the title match this past week, they hit enough to just be tied moving on, but it's waste. It ruins everybody's accuracy too. Like if you're playing really well, you're terrible.
Yeah.
So we had a discussion. We presented rounds. We have a leadership group behind Melee. It's not just me and Koho. We had a talk, and my whole goal is to bring people on to shoot holes into things. If you can shoot holes into it, then I know it's not viable to move on because I'm not bigger than my ideas. This game is not like my ideas do not trump everybody's, and I don't like that format, so I wanted them to have a word. We brought in replacing the deep cuts. At the end of the day, we talked about it. Deep cuts are staying. Deep cuts kind of just work for our format right now until we come up with another viable option. Deep cuts, I think there's still a good amount of players that like the deep cut round, and it's a kind of they get to pick their choices, so we're not putting it on them. The talk was, what do we do with Revenge of the Wheel? We talked about like maybe drafting the category before and you can't pick it in, but then Dylan and Mark's another part of this that's not here, and Payson were like, does it really change anything if you do that? Is it just like the same thing? Like if you give me classics, I'm not sitting there watching 70 classic movies just to get 2 points maybe in round 3. So over that conversation, we kind of came up with another one. Now, we ran this by the other members of FANDOM because, again, we have respect for FANDOM. They're the same with us. We run this under the same ship. We work very tightly together. Tim and Nick are 2 of my best friends in this community. I don't want to step on it. I approached them and said, can we take the betting round 4? Can I just use it? Tim was like, I like it being a fandom exclusive thing. Like, that's kind of something that I enjoy. Like, it makes our game different than everybody thing, which I fully respect. And I knew that was kind of how Tim would feel, as being as close to him as long as I have. Nick was more on the side of, like, I get that, but, like, is it just, it's only in title matches, but can we brainstorm something different that just makes sense? So we kind of came up with something different. Real quick, this is a format that we are fleshing out. It may, if you're playing in the first one, it could be rough. Transparent. We have done things in the past. Pick your poison, where you lost a point. I had to eat that one later in life. Where we did a random categories in round 3. I had to eat that one. Made a mistake. There's a good chance that this one may not be flawless in our first attempt, but we will fine-tune it till it is, because I still think our round 3, both round 3s in both of our leagues, FANDOM and this, have the best in any trivia. Like, I still stand by that. We've done something that just no other league does, and we do a really good job of it. So, round 4 is going to be a wager type round. Every question will be weighted at 2-point value. So if it's a team, you're going to alternate on the final question. You can take it as a team. Confer. We still have Skype calls. All that stuff will be valued. Now, they will be random categories. Again, as of right now, they will be random. We will fine-tune it if it doesn't work, where it has to be a draft or it has to do something else. We don't know. We're not saying anything's firm, locked in. But everything's going to be weighted at 2 points. Now, say Dylan and Koho are a team. They're united. They're a tag team group. Sorry, Jeremy, you got kicked to the curb. They're a team, and they're going in there. Classics is the first category. Fuck, I don't want to just lose 2 points. That's stupid. One of us has to take it. Overall scenario, we're allowing people, singles and teams, you can avoid 2 questions. You can avoid 2 of them. Just, I don't want to take them. I don't trust them. Now, similar to the betting round in FANDOM, I could give you a classics question, and then I give you the plot summary of Sunset Boulevard. Koho would have hit that for 2 points, but he decided to sit out of it because classics scared him. Now, he could have taken the category, got a hard question, lost 2 points. That's a scenario, that's a give and take. That's where you're going to get it. You can also say, F it. I'm behind. I need all these points, or I'm going to lose right here. You can just take every question. That's how it's going to work. So it's very similar to that's the possibility that could happen. Now, what I see Javi's comment, KLs could be more uncommon. We understand that. We get that. But we're also fine-tuning the difficulty in that round to be more... If you've noticed everything in Melee, we have lowered the overall difficulty in Melee, and we've had a better turnout this season.
And not so much for the championship matches, but yeah, overall in
which we're working on, which we're currently working on. This is just for title matches. These are the best of the best playing in this too. So overall, we're going to balance it inside the round. So it's not going to be like these impossible questions where somebody's just going to keep spiking, getting 2 points. We're hoping that maybe there's a swing 1 or 2, but overall, it should be a round kind of similar to deep cuts in FANDOM if you're a really good player. Kind of just a sweep through, but it could cost somebody if they're not having a great game. What?
So I never need to worry about it. Cool.
Exactly. Top 6%, this will not factor you at all.
Wow.
Yeah. That's true, Zaria. You have a shot.
Go ahead, Jason.
So I have one quick question. Let's say if a team decides to skip either the first or third question, do you have to select a teammate? In this only regards to teams. Do you have to select a teammate to say, I am sitting out of this question, therefore, regardless of what the second one, that next teammate has to pick it?
Interesting. Yes.
Yes,
I believe you still have to determine a player. If you're going to sit out, it's like betting 0 in a round in FANDOM. Okay. Or even if you put 0 on the board, you are used for that round. Now it resets on 3 and 4, same as FANDOM. So you do have a shot. So you can play it strategically. If you know you're a lower player on the team or you're just not having a great trivia day, sit it out. Take the shot. But again, we've all sat there if we've ever played FANDOM and bet 0 on a category that we're not feeling great on, and then they say that question, you're like, son of a... I could guess a movie title, you know? So, again, I'm okay if this round is 10 more points for everybody's category. I'm okay with that. It's way more than what we've been doing. Or if there's a swing, 2 to 4. I think there's a scenario.
Only general.
No strengths, just general.
Only general.
But again, somebody could be confident and swing for something and cost themselves. They have to be confident in 3 of them. So, and you don't know what's coming. So it's a strategy base. I have to get out of here. That's my thing. You can continue talking about it. Thank you all for watching. This weekend. We got great stuff coming up and even more stuff after that. So, bye.
Absolutely. Javi wants to call it the risk round. I want to call it the full throttle round. We're going to come up with a name. I promise you. So,
like that.
What'd you say, Jason?
Risk full throttle. Sounds like a
risk full throttle. Risk 2, high voltage. Anyway, but yeah, so we'll take more questions about it in a bit because we'll do a big Q&A at the end of this. So, can the draft round 2 or 5 categories come up with this?
We decided.
We have not decided. We're going to figure that one out before Mayhem when this round's implemented. Okay, so like I said, Koho, what's happening with teams in the summer? Who's playing Ginyu at Mayhem? What is happening? Well, I'll tell you. We took a bunch of the teams from the tournament, people who lost out at specific points throughout the tournament, and they are in a pool, almost a ladder-like situation to play at Mayhem. I can tell you every team who is competing in that pool. One of these teams will be at Mayhem taking on Ginyu Force. And they are Tequila Mockingbird, Alex, Martinez, Joe, Fairley. Team 2319, Cody Newberry, Brzakala.
Lord Cody Newberry.
Sorry, Lord. No, I'm not doing that. Jersey Boys, Igor Classic, and Dean Manis.
8 nicknames.
Penitent Men Will Pass, Robert Kastner and Antonio Chavez. Rewind Fuckers, Zaria Montenegro and Matt Cuellar. Sexual Chocolate, which is Ryan Payne and Amaru Moses. And then we also have Law Deal, Jacoby Bancroft and Scott Harvey. And finally, Bring Out Your Dead, Dylan Van Flein and Jeremy Potters are all in this pool. One of these teams is playing at Mayhem. And the nice, fun thing about this is that I believe no matter what, someone will be playing for their first team's title with their current
Except
iteration.
for Rewind, but yes.
Except for Rewind. But everyone else will be making their first challenge should they get there. Rewind Fucker's the only one with veteran status in this. The start of this sort of ladder petition, it starts Tequila Mockingbird versus Team 2319. The winner will face Jersey Boys. The winner of those guys will face Sexual Chocolate. And then on the opposite half of that board, Penitent Men Will Pass start with Rewind Fuckers. The winners of that will meet up with the 2319 Tequila Mockingbird Sexual Chocolate Path, all up in there, Jersey Boys. Winner of all those guys will be playing the winner of Law Deal and Bring Out Your Dead in a number one contenders match. So all of those teams, if you're one of those teams, this summer it's all there. The path is made for you to go play Ginyu at Mayhem at the Multiplex 7. Scott Harvey could be playing for his second team's title with a different team. Mate, could be cool. You can see Dylan Van Flein challenge for the team's title with Jeremy Potters going for his first title. Could be insane. Could also see Joe Fairley or Amaru Moses make real claims to Multiplex Player of the Year this year by making deep runs with their Melee team. Same with Jacoby even. So a lot of people on the board right now who could be playing for the team's title for the first time. Jacoby Bancroft also has a very real possibility within this picture of getting close, one step closer to completing the cycle. It's very close. There's a path for Jacoby in this path to get one away from completing the cycle. So exciting teams picture all the way around. Sprinkled in there, of course, are the trios matches within this one. We are in the process of wrapping up. I think we wrapped up round one. So now we are in the process of launching the round one of the losers bracket, where you'll get a couple of matchups in there. I can reveal the ones coming up, including the Fates of the Furious versus Protect Your Neck. Tim and the Lords of the Underworld versus Guangdong Tigers. Guangdang? Is that? I don't know how to say it.
Guangdong, I think. Yeah.
Guangdong. Did I get it right?
Yeah.
Okay. Rodents of Unusual Size versus Self-Deprecating. And the Final Boys versus the New Blood, with Rodents of Unusual Size Deprecating being the first of the second round, tagging in at the very end there to be part of the picture. And as well as two teams' debut matches coming up. We have 4 new teams entering the fray this summer. We have Sam and Tom, who one of them is Tom Houseman, and his mysterious teammate, who we only know his name is Sam. Making their debut in teams against Lights, Cameron, Action. Cameron Holtzman and Cameron Redshaw teaming up in Movie Melee, an exciting moment for them. They will be pairing up. They'll be playing in the summer. The other debut, Blaine Canada, a team that was teased very recently in the end of the second act. Ryko is coming in with Eric Moreno to become Blame Canada. They will be playing myself and Thomas Scully, the Manhattan Project, making their Melee debut. Going to be very interesting matches across the summer. You guys, thoughts on all the things happening in teams this summer?
Yeah, just to comment on that Blame Canada formation. I was there for when they played in singles, and I was actually there for when they formed as a team. I was like, this is actually, like, I think a fascinating matchup of these two, because I think they have just the right amount of overlap. And if you saw their debut match against each other, even though it was like kind of a debut for Eric, it wasn't really, let's be real, but their match was like really, really good and like very high scoring down to the wire. So I'm very excited to see what they can do in the teams.
Eric Moreno, despite losing that re-debut, if Blame Canada come out and play great, there's a shot. You could consider Eric comeback player of the year. Legitimately a comeback player of the year. But technically a rookie this year as well. Who knows? Mm-hmm. Weird stuff happening there. But Ryko, I think, clearly, we didn't talk about it from the last weekend. He and Tom Hausman played in singles, and Ryko got the win. Ryko the Psycho, I believe is like what he wants to be called. Getting the win on Tom. So Sam and Tom blame Canada, 2 rookie teams that I think we'll probably have to see match up this season just to continue the Ryko-Tom rivalry, because that was another great match, those two facing off. Both of them, I would say, frontrunners on Rookie of the Year this year in Movie Melee. Ryko probably has the slight edge right now.
That was another match that came out last weekend. That was really, really good, was Tom versus Ryko. It was fantastic. Just want to highlight Tom for Sam and Tom. Tom may have lost that match against Ryko, but I was like equally as impressed with his performance as I was Ryko, because like he had the lead coming out of round number 1. He spun opponent's choice and only missed like one question. He had to check down to a multiple choice a few times, but he only missed one question accuracy wise in that round, and then made it very close in round number 3. So I'm really, really excited to see what he can do in teams. But yeah, lights, camera, and action. I mean, they've been champions in other leagues. Cameron Redshaw now has the confidence of being a former singles champion, so he's coming in with that.
And Cameron Olsen yet to contend in Melee for a singles title, looking to go back in teams with Redshaw after 2 attempts with Clash. We'll see how Holtzman does with Redshaw, because last time Redshaw was in teams, it was with Double Indemnity, a team that is, I believe, the record holder for the best accuracy for a team ever, and never played for the title. So Double Indemnity, Boatman, and Redshaw, maybe as LCA. That is Holtzman the key to getting Redshaw to the team's title matches, which Redshaw has not done yet, is not played for a team's title. So very interesting dynamics across the summer. Alex saying tequila and walking the path, not good. Well, Alex, you're on the path. I can't help you. But do you guys have any thoughts on some of those matchups in teams?
Payson?
I think if there was a team that's staked their name to like the comeback team of this year, I think Law Deal is that team. So I think Law Deal,
yes.
Like I think coming into the tournament, I think Law Deal was like kind of like a mid-tier team, and I think they really established their name. Like, no, we are here to play. We have our strengths. Like, we can do this. And like of the tournament matches, I can say on me and David's behalf, that was the most exciting match we had throughout the entire run. So I'm excited to see what Law Deal versus Bring Out Your Dead is going to do. And if I were to make a prediction right now, I think whoever wins that is going to win the picture, personally. That is my bold prediction.
It's possible, especially with I'll speak cocky for Dylan since he won't do it himself. Dylan's gotten really close to that team's title appearance with Bring Out Your Dead a couple times. Was really, really strong in last year's rookie picture, ran through the tournament, has had a bit of trouble with back to formula, really. That's basically about it. But Bring Out Your Dead in a back to formula's picture, I don't know. I think there's a shot Bring Out Your Dead could be playing for their first title. But I do want to echo Law Deal, the Cinderella story of that last tournament. Scott Harvey sort of getting his groove back in teams, and Jacoby just kind of lighting a fire under him. Law Deal, there's something special going on with Law Deal. I think there's something cool happening, and it'll be exciting to see what they do when they get to their moment in this picture. To answer the question from Adelaide Spence, any other non-picture teams matches this act? No. Everything I've announced is everything that will be a part of Act 3. However, Act 4, massive. Let me tell you, it is massive. So that's there's your tease. Act 4 is going to be, as I would say, this is probably our most chaotic and experimental act of the year. Act 4 is probably going to be, by sheer numbers, our biggest. A lot of things going on in Act 4 to get you ready before we reach the final act. So it's going to be pretty good. Payson, of all the teams there, is there one team that scares you the most if they were to show up at Mayhem?
Scares?
Or at least worries you? Concerns?
Ooh,
Jumping out of the closet with a skeleton mask.
Look, after the match, after me and David won the titles, we called out Bring Out Your Dead. That is the team I hope to play. We got one of the teammates here right now. I think that would be like the most exciting match. I hesitate. I'm scared of them, but you do what you got to do. They're obviously an intimidating team, so yeah.
Absolutely, some crazy stuff going down. I'm going to throw this to the comment section real quick. if anyone has any questions, go ahead, shoot them at us. We'll be happy to answer some. If you have questions about the round 4 format, if you have questions about teams, if you have questions about how the singles tournament works, if you have questions about where Dylan gets his shampoo, or how Payson manicures his beard, go ahead, shoot them. Ask questions.
Those
Payson
are
has a
always
very beard care routine.
Did we answer? Sorry, did we answer Adelaide's question about can the drafted round 2 or 5 categories come up?
I believe so. I think we said that we're still officially hammering that out, but I believe so.
Okay.
I believe those will be in there. But we have to hammer that out. Just to be completely transparent on round 4s, on the round 4 process, every rider is writing a test round with that format, and we're all getting together and we're gonna play it out and see how it goes.
I think when we were discussing it in person to give an idea of what the difficulty will be. So we obviously in round 5 we have the 1 and 2s. So that's the lower difficulty questions, and the 3 and 4s, which are higher difficulty questions. Basically, Koho could correct me if I'm wrong or if I'm remembering this poorly, but basically how that round will be, they'll be because for 1 and 2 questions, it'd be we'd try to say it's write it at a 1.5 point difficulty. And then the 3 and 4s would be a 3.5 point difficulty. For the new round 4, it's going to be basically right in between a 1 or 2 or a 3 or 4. So it'd be a 2.5 difficulty in a sense, if that makes any sense. I know it's a little confusing, but there you go.
Definitely. So yeah, we're gonna find that sweet spot on the questions. We always do. We'll figure it out. There are 7 people left. Do any of you have questions? I'm sure Spence and Javi are here. They're my regular question askers.
So we give it 4 minutes, maybe.
Yeah, I'll give them about 4 minutes, and then we'll call it. But give them a couple questions.
You're looking great today. I just want to let you know. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I gave it a little trim. I was getting a little scraggly, so I just
looks really nice.
Thank you. I do need to give this up here a shave again. I just did, so it's very thin, but still needs to.
How so when you do with you having a shaved head, how often do you have to upkeep it?
Upkeep it. I would say every 2 weeks I take some razors to it. I have a big hair razor, and I try and take the bigs down, and then I have a little razor that goes behind it.
And for Ryko, yes, we said that the next team's title match, or is it singles?
Yep, Mayhem. The Mayhem matches will have that round 4 implemented.
Yeah.
Okay, so a joke question and then a real question. Let's just get the joke question out of the way. Best pizza topping, black olives. Or none.
Pepperoni.
Yeah, pepperoni. Sometimes jalapenos.
Jalapeno.
Well, I mean,
spicy.
Yeah. Taco pizza is also.
Spence brought up an interesting point. Are we going to do the call-out formula for teams tournaments going forward, or are we going to keep that as the bracket?
I'm just going to go ahead and leave a small little taste for you all. Yes. It'll happen.
I think that's very exciting.
I'll tell you when. I will tell you when, and maybe it won't even happen in the second half of this year, but it'll be happening. We'll be doing it.
Fair.
We have something very special planned for the final act. Let's see. What is Spence like? Who can from Queer to Eternity call out for another match? You're getting one in Act 4. You're welcome. That's just to make you feel better. You're playing in Act 4. Ryko says pineapple. Ryko.
That's crazy.
He's living up to the nickname the Psycho.
Yeah.
You're a criminal for saying black olives, Debar.
You're a criminal waking up at the hour you do. Go to bed.
How upsetting to plans was Tequila beating from Queer to Eternity? Not really. I love upsets. I mean, no matter what happened, whoever won those 2 rookie team pieces were going to be in that first team's tournament in the exact range that you landed in. I think from Queer to Eternity and Realm's Delight winning would have probably would have generated more competition or not to be rude, but I think they probably would have been a little more hyped going in because of the matchups that are there. And I think clearly seen from Realm's Delight, even filling in, they could have been a dominant team.
That was also that was one of the best matches of the tournament. I felt definitely in round 1 because back to formula literally had to tie the record that Kumite set earlier in the season in order to win that match.
Exactly. Not to say Tequila Mockingbird's like not good. You guys played Pentimental Pass, and it was just kind of a pretty out of your wheelhouse moment. But you guys are a good team. Bullets is apparently taking vacation this summer. Where should Kirk and I travel to? Listen, Bullets or Broadway, you're not like gone. You're not gone.
No, they'll be back in Act 4.
Right. Bullets or Broadway, you might be back in Act 4. You'll be back. But if you're looking for a temporary vacation, I hear that Grand Forks, North Dakota is delightful this time of year. You can come visit me.
Could you imagine like an Airbnb with you, Bar, and Kirk just chilling out?
Honestly, that would probably be the best thing for me. I'd probably mature even faster. Like, I'd have a week with Bar and Kirk, and I'd walk out, and it would not be a mustache, it'd be a beard.
Yeah, that's fair.
Beard. And, like, it'd be a full beard, and Kirk and I would probably record 5 podcast episodes on the entire filmography of Al Pacino. Like, we'd have like a full film essay on Al Pacino. I actually think me, Bar, and Kirk would get along really well in an Airbnb. Like, I think the 3 of us actually vibe really hard.
A little behind the scenes, we have a match we have to film. I think we should probably wrap it up.
Yeah, I mean, if that's all the questions we have, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Act 3, Choose Your Destiny, kicks off this Thursday. It's going to be excellent. We'll see you guys then.